In today's video, I present you with my review for Guns of Fury. I picked this one up on the day of release on Steam without anything to go on except that it looked like an old school arcade game, namely Metal Slug. Because I love retro-inspired games, I thought I would give this one a try. Allow me to summarize what's going on here. A scientist invented something neat. A bad guy kidnapped said scientist. And your job is to rescue him and defeat all the bad guys, as well as the guy who's running the show. In the options, the first thing I noticed is that I couldn't set the resolution to anything higher than 1080p, which is kind of odd. But when I started the game, I saw that it didn't really appear to matter anyway. So, yeah. Another thing I had noticed is that there are several display effects you can take advantage of, giving you the look and feel of an old-person TV, or what I should say is arcade monitor. This is a definite plus, as I greatly appreciate these options, because I'm one of those old people who likes visuals like this. I think it completes that retro aesthetic perfectly. Here's what the different filters look like. The overall visuals of this game are very colorful, detailed, and gorgeous. If you use one of the filters, it looks even better. Even if you don't care for the scan lines and the like, at least give it a try. You just may end up falling in love with one of them, but not like you would with a girl. That's different. I used the scanline effect before switching over to CRT1, which in my opinion looked a little better while I wandered around trying to figure out where I was going. These effects do look the part of a Neo Geo arcade game. The animation is on point as well, resembling what you typically see in SNK character and object movement. However, not everything is as fluid, even though it all still looks very nice. Level design is right nicely displayed with some destructible elements in basic platforming. Vehicles are very easily shot to death with the standard gun you end your enemies with. I mention this because in most cases, you can kill a car much quicker than the enemies, just like in real life. However, I've also shot turrets that got dead much more quickly. Both are made of metal, for crying outside. You'd think that a walking meat bag would be so much easier to take out, but I digest. I really like the Symphony of the Night type menu with the ability to change the color. Another nice callback is the map design. You can tell they were really wanting to nail that Castlevania vibe here, and I think it's awesome to see. You start the game with a handgun, but are captured and locked away in a prison cell. Upon making an escape, you soon obtain another handgun. You have no unique abilities at this time. However, in your travels, you will eventually find items that aid you on your mission, such as knee pads that will allow you to slide through tight areas. You will also come across powerful guns, throwing weapons, and upgrades that increase your ammo and health capacity. Some items are found out in the open, while others are either purchased from a vendor or earned from defeating enemies, such as bosses. So far, I have encountered 2 vendors offering different items. Did I mention already that the main character looks like John Goodman during his role in The Big Lebowski? Remind me later. The sound effects are fairly standard for a game of this type, with gunshots and explosions aplenty. But the soundtrack is the real star of the show, however, which is done by Dominic Ninmark. It does a great job of expressing some mellow and hard guitar riffs, some synth, which I personally love, and just a hint of something straight out of an 80s movie. One track in particular which really caught my attention is called Steel Foundry, which is friggin' amazing. Another called Decisive Battle is really spot on for bringing back that retro movie flair. It all blends very well with this game, and I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy what's here. The difficulty is rather easygoing if you ask me. It does have its moments, such as with the bosses, but it isn't hard by any means. Even the bosses aren't that bad. It's not like it's easy to get dead in this game, but I've only gone so far, so I can't rule it out if later stages are punishing. At this time, there isn't a way to adjust the difficulty, and because I haven't finished the game yet, I cannot speak on whether or not there is an extra mode that is more challenging. This is something you'll have to discover for yourself. The movement of your character works out very well, without any slippery controls or having much difficulty in dodging projectiles. Everything feels as it should. However, you'll do well to keep some distance from the enemy because even touching them will damage you. In terms of controller functionality, weapons are assigned to different buttons. X is your primary weapon, B is your secondary weapon. Melee weapon is the Y button, and thrown items is the left bumper. Right bumper and the left and right triggers are for abilities. Back button will open the map, and while on the map screen, pressing the right bumper will zoom in or out. Left trigger will allow you to place markers. The start button will open your character menu screen. All of this feels alright, I suppose, but for me I mostly use the primary weapon as it works just fine. Very rarely will I use the secondary weapon, simply because I really don't think about it, and I've only pressed the melee button a couple of times, once by accident and once trying to remember what it did. I honestly don't feel like it has any real purpose. And of course, I will toss a grenade or other type of thrown weapon whenever the need arises. As for the map, I don't get much use out of it. Quite honestly, I have a tendency to just wander around a lot, like a confused old man searching for a bathroom. Seeing as how this game doesn't feature any type of multiplayer mode, this lessens the chances of wanting to play it over and over again right after finishing it. However, because it is a really fun game, you will at some point want to eventually go back to experience all the good things about it again. Also, as stated previously, I haven't completed this game yet, so I have no idea if there are any extra modes after doing so. But if there are, you could always play through it again and find out if anything has changed significantly enough for a different experience. In terms of the cost, the asking price is $14.99 USD, unless otherwise stated. Is it worth it? Most definitely. There's some fun to be had here, folks. But if you can obtain it much cheaper, always go for the better deal, I say. So, the big question. Does it feel like Metal Slug? Not completely, and it doesn't have to. There are some similarities, but I think this game has its own vibe. I feel that Metal Slug moves at a slightly faster pace, which is part of what it's known for, while this game is kind of easygoing because of the exploration factor while searching for items and reaching new areas. Metal Slug also has way more of a challenge. If anything, Guns of Fury is the Fisher-Price equivalent of Metal Slug for babies. I don't mean this in a negative light, but when people compare this to Metal Slug, don't think for a second they're talking about the difficulty. Whether you agree with this or not, it's rather undeniable that this game is a blast to play. A neat little thing that I can appreciate is that enemies will drop items upon entering the afterlife. These items will stick around if you cannot get to them right away, which is awesome because I don't like things that go on vacation when you want to pick them up. A plus is that save points are aplenty in this game, which is rather nice for those folks who get dead very a lot. Speaking of save points, I've discovered that when accessing one, your health and ammo are fully restored, and you don't even have to save your game if you want to further explore to find out what is ahead. If I had any complaints about Guns of Fury, one of them would be that you cannot shoot diagonally, and this drives me up a wall. Quite honestly, I think this is something that will really annoy a lot of people. There are some places in the game where enemies can shoot diagonally. Why can't I? It would just be nice to be able to do that. Another complaint would be that there is no auto-fire. It isn't that bad if you have a controller with turbo functionality though, but this one should be a given. Regarding the animation, every now and then the character will randomly lock up, but only for a split second, making it a chore to just move correctly. This needs to be addressed. One last thought. This game deserves multiplayer. I would love to be able to play against or with other people online. Well, that's it. The review is over. I sure hope you found this to be helpful. See you around. This is Random Battle signing off, and until next time, stay random and battle on.